Texas Redistricting Plan. GOP's move to protect House majority. Imagine a scenario where the outcome of elections is predetermined and the voices of the people are silenced. This is the stark reality that Democrats in Texas are facing as Republicans embark on a mission to redraw congressional maps, potentially giving the GOP a stranglehold on the House majority. But here's where it gets controversial. The plan to redraw these maps is not just about gerrymandering. It's about rigging the system to favor one party over the other. The Texas plan, spearheaded by Governor Greg Abbott and backed by President Donald Trump, aims to create new maps that could hand Republicans 5 additional seats, effectively blunting any chance of Democrats taking control of the House. The most immediate battle is unfolding in Texas, where a 30-day special session has been called to provide flood relief and establish new maps. Republican lawmakers have already held their first hearing, but the actual maps won't be released until next week or later, leaving Democrats with little time to react. And this is the part most people miss. Democrats could try to boycott the session, but doing so would put them at risk of being fined or even arrested by Attorney General Ken Paxton. They could also face criticism for missing votes on addressing the state's deadly floods. State Rep. Jean Wu, who leads the Democratic caucus of the Texas House, said the Democrats are keeping their options open, but for now, all they can do is call attention to the unusual nature of the effort. This isn't redistricting, State Senator Boris Miles said on the Senate floor. It's rigged districting. GOP State Senator Phil King downplayed the games Republicans could make, portraying the plans as ordinary. But the truth is that these plans are far from ordinary. They are a blatant attempt to manipulate the system and maintain power. Texas Democrats have visited Illinois and California to highlight the possibility that those states could retaliate by redrawing their lines to give their party more House seats. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and California Governor Gavin Newsom, both potential presidential candidates in 2028, have expressed their willingness to take drastic action in response to the Texas plan. The rules for redistricting differ by state, but one thing is clear. The stakes are high, and the outcome will have far-reaching consequences. States are required to draw new congressional lines once a decade after each census to ensure equal populations. Setting new lines in the middle of the decade is unusual and a sign of worries at the national level that Republicans could lose control of the House. The years ahead are filled with challenges for Democrats, who will struggle to capture the Senate and are divided over how to retool their policy agenda and rhetoric ahead of the 2028 presidential election. As the redistricting fights unfold, one question remains. Will the voices of the people be heard, or will the system be rigged against them? We want to hear from you. Do you think the Texas plan is a legitimate attempt to redraw congressional maps, or is it a blatant attempt to manipulate the system? Share your thoughts in the comments below. California redistricting battle. Texas plans versus Newsom's Democratic push. The fight over redistricting in the United States is heating up, and it's more intense and more divisive than many might have imagined. At the heart of this controversy is how states redraw their congressional boundaries, a process that can greatly influence political power. But here's where it gets controversial. Different states are approaching this process in drastically different ways, which could set significant legal and political precedents for the future. And this is the part most people miss. These moves aren't just about politics. They could alter the very way American democracy functions. To start, consider California. Since 2008, California has intentionally moved away from handing the power of districting to politicians themselves, instead creating an independent, bipartisan citizen commission to draw the maps. This transition aimed to curb the partisan gerrymandering that often causes the impossible future of political gerrymandering that disappear, leading to more polarized and fractured politics nationwide. The California model has become a blueprint for reform advocates eager to level the playing field, making elections more about the candidates and ideas than political maps. Meanwhile, in Texas, everything is different. The state is now conducting a mid-cycle redistricting effort, meaning outside the usual decennial process, to strengthen Republican seats ahead of the 2024 elections. Texas officials are working diligently to redraw district lines to favor Republicans, including targeting 4 Democratic-held districts in the Dallas and Houston regions. These districts have been scrutinized and criticized because they contain high concentrations of Black and Latino voters, and some argue that change could be challenged as racial gerrymandering. Texas' move has sparked a fierce political debate, especially after the state's GOP leadership called a special legislative session to push these key boundaries through, despite opposition from Democrats. And here's where things get even more provocative. While states like California rely on independent commissions to prevent partisan manipulation, Texas and other Republican-led states are actively pushing legislative and legal strategies to modify or overturn those processes. For instance, Texas is attempting to conduct these redistricting moves outside the usual legal framework, like calling for special elections to change the rules, and some Republican leaders are threatening lawsuits or proposing new laws that could add more GOP-friendly districts. Now, California's governor, Gavin Newsom, has made no secret of his opposition. He's openly discussed the possibility of bypassing the independent commission to redraw districts in his state to favor Democrats, if Texas and others succeed. Yet such efforts are fraught with legal and political risks. Many experts warn that undermining an independent commission could set a dangerous precedent, potentially damaging California's reputation for fair and regulated redistricting. Supporters of independent commissions, including many Democrats and reform advocates, argue that allowing politicians to draw their districts leads to gerrymandering, which weakens democratic accountability and erodes trust in electoral fairness. Opponents, especially from the GOP, see this as a threat to their electoral prospects and are willing to explore aggressive legal or legislative avenues to preserve or expand their influence. So what does this mean for the future of American politics? Could states like California, with their strong commitments to independent redistricting, stand their ground against these partisan efforts? Or will political actors succeed in rewriting the rules, risking the undermining of American electoral integrity? And how will this cycle of push and pull reshape the landscape for voters and candidates alike? What's your take? Is this fighting over redistricting a necessary step toward fairer elections? Or are these efforts just another chapter in the ongoing struggle for political advantage?